Chris Mackowski of Emerging Civil War. I've been exploring Vicksburg, and today's the day to head into the park and let's see what we can see. I'm going to warn you right up front, it's not going to be an all-encompassing, inclusive, comprehensive tour, but let's poke around and have some fun. First stop, before we even head into the park itself, we'll be right here by the Memorial Arch at the entrance to the tour road. The arch was dedicated in 1920 to commemorate not the battle, but a veterans reunion that took place in 1917. It was first placed on Clay Street in the city, but in 1967 it was deemed a traffic hazard and so moved to the present location in the park. Arch cost about $35,000 and is made from granite that comes from Stone Mountain, Georgia. So I'm just going to follow the tour road here. I'm not going to have the time to stop and look at everything, but I'm going to sample some stuff as we go just to give us a taste of this really cool park. By DeGoldier's Battery, you can see the Illinois Memorial behind me there. If I swing around here, there's a big obelisk to Michigan, and I'm just it never ceases to amaze me how tumultuous this ground is and how difficult it was for these guys to fight on both sides in this position here. Just imagine this landscape all torn up in dirt rather than this lush green grass. Now I am going to come across the way to the Shirley House, which is one of the most notable landmarks on the battlefield. Very famous photo taken of all the caves and digging in behind the Shirley House, become an iconic scene from Vicksburg. The Shirleys, James and Adeline, were actually Union sympathizers. They had 25 slaves, a number of barns and outbuildings, all of which were put to the torch as Confederates retreated through here on May 18th, although the soldier assigned to burn the house got shot as he approached the porch, sparing the house. Right next to me now is the Illinois Memorial. A lot of people think that's old Abe the War Eagle that's on the top there, but that's in fact not. The old Abe that's commemorated in that monument is actually Abraham Lincoln. Super highly symbolic structure, and because Lincoln and Grant were both Illinoisians, the state really wanted to make sure that there was a presence here at Vicksburg. Now, a few minutes ago, I was over by the Michigan Monument, the DeGoldier Battery, which is in that gap of the trees right there, and kind of see the other side of that massive clearing I was in. Just an incredibly mind-boggling landscape. Wonderful, wonderful battlefield to be at. From this perch, we can also see the Louisiana Redan over in that direction. I'll give a quick shout out to General Andrew Hickenlooper, mostly because his last name is so fun to say. All right, let's back up here for just a second to the Illinois Memorial. Yes, we should take the time and go on up inside. You didn't think I was going to skip that, did you? Whew, 47 steps to the top. That's 1 step per day. I'm a little bit dizzy here. The monument is 62 feet tall. It has got 60 bronze tablets on the inside that names all 36,325 Illinois soldiers who took part in the siege. The monument was dedicated in 1906 at a cost of $194,000. I've got to walk back down the road to maybe 100 yards so that I can say hi to General John Logan on behalf of my Aunt Mary Beth, who lives in the same hometown where Logan is from. Great general, just kind of a fine citizen soldier, great model, great role model. Following the tour road, I'm going to then end up here at the Wisconsin Memorial. I've got to stop and pay my respects because my Polish brother, ECW Chief Historian Chris Kolakowski, is at the Wisconsin Veterans Museum. So he knows a lot about these guys here behind me. It's also one of the most stunning, striking monuments on the battlefield. Over here on one side, you have a statue that depicts the cavalry, honoring them. Poor horse doesn't look like it's feeling too good. And opposite the cavalryman is this infantryman, and I always thought it was funny, he's wearing a greatcoat in May and June and July, but it's just proof that in Wisconsin they're always cold. There's a bas-relief giving some love to the Navy. On the side opposite the Navy is a bas-relief giving some love to the artillery. And a little bit of reconciliation going on here, north and south, shaking hands on the backside. And of course, we can't forget at the very tippy top, bigger than the cavalryman or the infantryman, is old Abe the War Eagle. Next stop of the driving tour is here by the Forlorn Hope. It tells a little story about Orion Howe, the 14-year-old musician who became a Medal of Honor recipient for his actions. Sherman also appointed him to the Naval Academy, where he resigned and later went out of dental school. Now we're going to take a look here at the site of the attack on Stockade, Redan, and the Forlorn Hope. The men come from this direction. Try to sprint down that direction, and there is Stockade, Redan. You see monuments on the front of the stockade. We'll go over there in a minute. Shows as far as some of these guys got. A storming party of 150 volunteers is supposed to rush forward with planks and ladders that's going to allow infantry up into the Redan, but they're going to get shot up, and that's going to create a bottleneck here along the Graveyard Road, forcing the infantry to redeploy, and then they're going to lose their momentum as they're trying to make this attack. We're going to get ready to assault the stockade. We can see as far as the Ohioans got, monument back there, Missourians on the front face of this. We're almost to the top of the lip of the Redan, but not quite. So if we take a look back over toward that federal position again, we can see this huge ditch out front that the Federals are going to have to manage, and off to the right there's where they deploy as they try to get past the bottleneck through that road. So that's the direction they were coming here toward the camera where the Redan is. If we go inside the Redan, there are some monuments to the Confederate defenders. We're going to do a longer video here because this is worth exploring just a little bit more. I'm not going to lie, it's a hot, miserable day out here in Vicksburg today. What do I expect coming to Mississippi in August, right? Just to keep us oriented, Stockade, Redan's down there. I've just come down West Confederate Avenue just a little bit because I wanted to say hi to this dude, Martin Luther Smith. Martin Luther Smith is a division commander here at Vicksburg, but later in the war, he'll get assigned to go east and be Robert E. Lee's chief of engineer. He's the guy who builds the earthworks at North Dana and comes up with the idea for the inverted V, which folks know is kind of one of my favorite actions of the whole war to study. So got to come pay my respects to Martin Luther Smith. Now, if we swing in the other direction from Martin Luther Smith, we will find the Missouri Monument, which is appropriate here since Missourians clashed with each other. And so here there's actually a signage that talks about this brother versus brother, neighbor versus neighbor combat that happened here. The monument itself is a beautiful work of art. Our next stop is a formidable obstacle. It is the Great Redoubt. It was built to help defend the Jackson Road, just like the 3rd Louisiana Redan that we saw earlier near the Illinois Memorial. And huge obstacle for the Federals to try to overcome. Their attack here on the 22nd meets heavy losses, and so then the Union artillery just begins to bombard it. And they bombard it pretty much the entire time the siege is going on. And with the redoubt there, just right over here is the monument to Lloyd Tillman. Certainly the most melodramatic monument here, perhaps on any battlefield. Tillman thrusting his arms out in martyrdom. He really should have a cannonball kind of stuck in him there, because that's what happened to him at Champion Hill. This monument would certainly be more appropriate there, since he was actually killed at Champion Hill rather than here at Vicksburg. But its prominent placement here ensures that it is one of the, if not the most photographed monument here on the battlefield. If we come down the road just a little bit, we'll find the Mississippi Monument. I'm going to stop here just for a second because we're in Mississippi. I feel like we should give some love to our hosts. It's a hot day here in Mississippi. They've got a beautiful monument. And then over here is going to be Pemberton Circle. And let me see if I get it right here. Pemberton, also someone who does not get a whole lot of love, and he's a Pennsylvanian. And the crazy things love makes you do. He sides with the South because his wife was a Southerner, and so that's why he throws his lot in with the South, and then gets absolutely no credit for it from Southerners who question his loyalty, question his competence, although Jefferson Davis sticks by him, of course. Pemberton proves his loyalty even after Vicksburg, and he can't find a command. Nobody wants him, and so rather than going to retirement, he will take a demotion and go into commanding artillery later on in the war, sticking with the Confederacy. Had to stop here real quick. Dabney Morey, a Fredericksburger from my neck of the woods here in Vicksburg. One of the chief architects of the Lost Cause mythology because of his writing influence after the Civil War. Keep following the tour road. Brings us here to the Texas Lunette, which defended one of the approaches to the city. A lot of particularly heavy fighting here on the 22nd. And then over the course of the siege, the Union engineers are going to dig closer and closer to this position. They'll actually get within 15 feet of the Lunette. The other thing that's here at the Texas Redoubt is a statue of Confederate President Jefferson Davis, who was from this area. Nothing quite says you love your country like hugging the flag when you're the president, right? From here, we're going to head back toward the visitor center parking lot. We'll be on the backside of a private cemetery. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to do the whole park today, but I want to encourage folks to come out here to Vicksburg because it's just an extraordinary park. It's everything you could want in a battlefield exploration. You could take literally weeks to really thoroughly do this park. There's so much to see and enjoy and understand and appreciate. That said, before I finish this flashback montage, I have one last must-visit place to stop. Well, I think it's about time to end my time here at Vicksburg National Military Park. There's so much to see. I'm sure some of you are like, well, what about this? What about that? You forgot this, forgot that. Lots of units, lots of people, lots of stories to explore. But in the end, it's such a hot day, my phone is starting to overheat. And like Pemberton, you know, you've got to have your troops in order to fight. About a third of his are too sick, too weary, too hungry to put up any sort of resistance. I think my phone is in that same category. So like Grant and Pemberton, I'm going to end my time here underneath the tree at the surrender site, or the site of the negotiations for which. And then, of course, on July 4th, 1863, Grant is going to march his troops into the city and raise the American flag above the courthouse once again. And that glorious 4th, although in Vicksburg, not such a glorious 4th for the Mississippians, but certainly a key moment, huge turning point in the American Civil War. And I've been delighted to be here to spend a little bit of time on a hot August day showing you some of the sights and being excited and sharing that with you. So I'm Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War. We will see you online and on the battlefield.